Hello everyone, and I hope you're having a great day. It's almost Christmas and I'm trying to get a few things ready for the family for Christmas. So we're going to take a walk down here, see the people, see what's fresh, see what's happening, and come along, come join me. This is 2 days before Christmas, and this is the afternoon sunlight. It's now 20 past 12. It's just come afternoon, and it's very, very dark, but we are getting some beautiful sunlight. I love the way the light shines through here. Off we go to see what's going on. We have had just days and days and days of rain. I always find this really fascinating, this stuff. Let me turn around this way and look at it. This tree is evolving and evolving. See? It's now become like an oblong. This thing represents an eye. See? It's like an eye. And it's pointing like the eye is saying, look at this. Well, I have looked at it. So come on, folks, what's it all about? So they're saying, who's speaking? Is this a Fenian? It's a back. Hello, a back. Hello. And what he's saying, it's a new space, a new beginning, a new phase. Wow. Of course, we're coming into what's our new year. Say we just walk past stuff because we don't think it's of any relevance. Look at that light. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that light. Wow. But see this sort of thing with X's, and it just looks like two sticks. And most people, if they even bothered to venture off the path, would walk past it and ignore it. So back, you feel that there's a new beginning. In your calendar, in your world, there's a new beginning. Am I right in thinking that we've all been kind of almost standing in glue? Everything is at a standstill. He's saying for some of you. For me personally, I feel like I'm treading water. Saying this planet, the world, is in a terrible phase at the moment. I'm going to ask Abak, is this is this planet cleansing itself? Is this a 30-year cleanse, or more like 40 to 50? And what he's saying, it's the blip. It's a blink of an eye in the age of the planet. Right, what about the family back? What about your future? What about your existence? He's saying we carry on. Age and time is measured differently to the way you measure it. He's also saying in this new phase, in this new year, so he's reminding me of the mesh of light that I see. Do you remember in some photographs I've had of this forest, I've picked up tags, light tags. Well, we are being asked to step into the light tag, to be a light tag. So where we're going to see negativity, we need to try and put light into it. And we might not think it makes a difference, but it does. Raising the vibration. He says it doesn't matter where you are. Is that where in the world you are, or wherever you may be? This is his message. Am I right in saying that this is for everybody who listens? Everybody who's watching this? And what he's saying is, wherever you may be, he's saying we, the Janu, we are here. We can assist. And we will help. Abak, is this new? He's saying, it is, my dear. When did this occur? Again, it's not time phrase. He's saying recently. Wasn't here last time I came. So within 2 weeks. So wherever we are, he's showing me the world and countries, where they're showing me like a map of America. It doesn't matter where we are. They can help us if we ask. If we're willing to open our heart space up and we see issues, trouble, problems, they can help us. We can try and help harmonize. He says we can try and create balance where there is none, and literally show darker things the door. Saying point your camera at the light, the sunlight. Now point it at the darker area. No, behind you, okay. Even though that tree is in an area where there's not direct sunlight, it attracts the sunlight through the gap. That's what he's trying to say. Look for the light. Look for the light, folks. That's a wonderful Christmas message. Thank you, Abak. He's saying I haven't finished yet. Okay. Sorry. Open your heart. There is love in your heart. So thank you. Thank you, Abak. Thank you for that. Oh, well. Here we are. Well, I have had a good look around. Now, Audrey gave us some really special gifts. last week. And I have to say, Audrey, they were placed here on our little stump that's looking a bit beleaguered. Not a single trace of one of them. One of the nets has come down from the tree. That's on the ground now. One still remaining. But not a bag. That's what I've just been doing, wandering around, looking to see if I can see just a trace of the bag. All right, I'm going to put some gifts down here, and I have some hazelnuts. Seem to like carrots, so got some carrots as well. Pop that there. These are pecans. Pop that there. Then dates, some lovely soft fruit. I'm thinking they might need a lot of sort of sugary type things, natural sugar in that respect. But then I got carried away and I thought, well, it's Christmas, so maybe they would like some traditional fruit Christmas cake, iced Christmas cake. So got that. And then I got a Christmas chocolate log. It's very difficult to hold without it falling apart. I have tried to cut it. In fact, I have been cutting it with a knife. If I get caught with a knife, driving around with a knife, a sharp kitchen knife, I'll be arrested for breaking the law. We have strong knife laws. Look at this, walking around with a knife. Killer on the loose. Oh dear. I'll get myself into trouble. I'll get arrested one of these days. So, we're here. We have got some lovely, lovely incense sticks. Let's see if I can light these without setting fire to myself, which is usual. Come on. The wind is horrendous today. We've got these sorted now. Stick them here, here, here. These are Audrey's incense sticks. Smell gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. These were sandalwood ones. Put the incense sticks around. You can just see them there. So, carrots. Oh, look at that. Chocolate Yule log. And then it's like a chocolate cake. Pecans. Some lovely hazelnuts. Dates. Oh, an iced Christmas cake. Aren't they lucky that I actually didn't manage to get my hands into that Christmas cake? They're very lucky there's any left. And then, of course, oh, look at that lovely sunlight just glancing through the tree. Two lots of lovely apples. Right, I've toyed with telling people this story, to be honest. But I will. I think there is a message somewhere in here. It is a bit long, and I hope I don't bore you. I'm always wary that I just go on too long. So, this was last year. I'm going to sleep at night, and as I close my eyes, I can see in like the distance of my vision, as it were. These are like very, very clear videos that I'm being shown. There is a man sitting in profile like this. Blue shirt on, fedora, quite a good looking chap, clean cut. Sideways in profile on what looks like a bar stool. And as I'm looking at him, I can see his feet, his shoes. And they are two-tone shoes. So that puts him at probably 1920s, 1930s in my mind. Wasn't quite spats, that type of thing, but found it odd. Anyways, I thought, I don't know who you are. He turned from his position like this, and he turned to face me like that, and it was really confrontational. And then he zoomed right in like this, right in, so he was there, right up against him. And I have to say, I said, get out of my face. I don't know who you are. Get out of my face. You're scaring me. I had no idea who he was, but he was persistent. And he was just there. Every time I closed my eyes, I could see him. Anyway, it unnerved me. I thought, I'm going to deal with you in the morning. I'm not going to deal with you now. So, morning came, and I thought, I'm going to have to look this character up and see who he is, because I have no idea who he is. I had a horrible thought that he was from the Prohibition period, and that he was, shall we say, probably the most well-known name from that Prohibition period that you can think of. A Mr. C. I'm not going to mention his name, and I'll thank you not to mention his name in the comments either. He doesn't deserve airspace. So it wasn't him. And I was, who the hell is this? So the more I looked, I thought, I'm going to have to look through all the photographs of the well-known faces, hoods of that era. 1920s, 30s, I thought, for some reason I'm fixated on the Prohibition. It must be that period of time. Prohibition was not in the UK, it was an American thing. So it's very odd that I'm getting it here in the UK, and it would not go away. It was like it had to be dealt with. So I flicked through all these photographs, and eventually one of them, it was just like he was just there. Exactly the same image that had been presented to me. And his name is George. And I thought, and what the hell do you want, George? So, with a little bit of help from a back, actually Anku and Rachel, we got to the bottom of this, and there was a job to be done. George was to be shown the light. George was coming to the light. My job was to bring him across. Now, I don't think so much that it was my job to bring him across as it was to observe and see the process. So George, it's as if you are eavesdropping and witnessing, imagine a video showing. So George is talking to this female called Lydia, who sounds to me like she's off her face. And Lydia is in a semi-dark room. I can see George, not in detail, but I can see him. And I'm in a waiting room area. It just looks like a waiting room with chairs dotted around the edge. And I'm looking at these chairs. I can't see myself, but I can see the Janu people sitting there. And they are observing and watching, and there's one by this doorway. George can't pass through that doorway, and whoever wants to come from that doorway into it only does so with with the assistance of this Janu person. If they don't want them through, it's like, no, you won't come through, you will not pass. So it struck me that perhaps the Janu people were gatekeepers. Protectors, gatekeepers. So anyways, George is trying to encourage this Lydia. Come on, Lydia, come on. Come through, Lydia. And I don't know, can he see me? It's like, who's she talking at? And then I could see this really pitch black room in the distance, and it had like vertical fissures, and it was like bright orange and red, and periodically this man would come up and he'd look through this narrow crack. He can't see anybody. Where's everyone at? And George is saying, come on, you need to come to the light, to Lydia. And so he interrupts Mr. C We all know who Mr. C is. He interrupts. Okay, all right, fine, I'm coming. It's like, no, you just, it's not like that. You can't just come through. George has done the work. And he's trying to encourage Lydia to do the work. But Mr. C, to me, he's in purgatory, in the darkest place on the planet. And he's like, come on. He's swearing his head off. So I told him to be quiet and keep quiet. Let George do what he wants to do. He's persistently interrupting. So I was quite rude back to Mr. C. But it was the only way to get him to shut up while George did what he had to do. But Lydia was having none of it. She was having none of it. She wasn't coming through. Eventually, there's just like peace and quiet. And George has passed through. And it was very strange. You don't actually know. It's not like you get a shaft of light or anything. You don't actually know. It just suddenly becomes quite quiet. There's no conversation. And then I got another man's voice. I think he was called Jimmy. And he said, they're here. They're through. So I know that George was through, but I don't think Lydia came. Lydia was concerned that Mr. C could see her. She still had an attachment to Mr. C. The bottom line was that Lydia had betrayed someone, and it cost 3 people their lives, a man and a woman and their friend, which turned out to be Lydia. There was their friend. It was her daughter. Cost those lives. It was the story itself. There's a lot more to this story which I have not told. There's a lot more to this story, but it was absolutely fascinating. And the key to it all was George. I spoke to him some time after. He presented himself as standing. He was very blue to look at facially, quite a good-looking chap, and his eyes were closed and his head was bowed like that. And I wanted to prove that I knew about him, that I'd done my homework. I wasn't just passing through these details. I wanted to let him know that I knew about his life. I'm not in judgment, if you understand. I wasn't in any kind of judgment. So I said, George, I said, did you kill those 3 police officers? He was extremely humble. And he said, yes, I did. I had no right to. I destroyed those families. Now, George, it should be said, I'm not going to mention his full name. Those of you with half a wit will be able to work out who he is. But George died in Fort Leavenworth in 1954. So it has taken him that length of time to, well, that would have been 2022, to make amends and peace and find the right path. I know time is irrelevant on that side of the fence, but there's redemption. That was the thing. The lesson I was being taught was there is redemption. He'd been a bad man, but he was brought up in a nice family, and in Prohibition he had this carrot that was dangled, which was called temptation. Are you going to go to work if there's work available? I'm thinking of John Steinbeck's Grapes of Wrath. But are you going to go to work every day and earn a pittance and just get by? Or are you going to join this crowd of the Prohibition where there is money to be made? Really, there was a lot of money to be made. And it was a period of time when people could allow their dark side to rule their life. And that's exactly what happened. Now, George came across as quite a nice chap, actually. I thought if he had been in better times, economically, if he had been in better times, I think George would have done quite well for himself. He was an educated man. He'd been brought up well. He'd just chosen the wrong path. His girlfriend and his girlfriend's father were a couple of hoods, but he'd gone along with it. He had choices to make and he'd gone along with it and chosen the wrong way. So what it was teaching me about redemption. And I wanted to tell you that because it's Christmas, because there is hope for everyone, and we mustn't judge a book by the cover, Now Mr. C remains where he is because he thinks he can get from A to B and not do the work. But the fascinating thing for me was the appearance of the Janu people, and I knew exactly who they were. They were sitting there as if it was normal, in a waiting room, sitting there, but I got the sense that they were the barrier. They were the people like a ring of steel around human beings, between the good, the light, and the dark. And if you venture across to that way, you don't get to come across unless you've done the work. So it was fascinating. It was almost like they are gatekeepers, and I don't know whether anybody else sees that. And I think there are different types of Janu, some very physical, who may not be gatekeepers, others who are more energetic, who have a completely different take. I thought I'd share that with you. I've included photographs of George, so you'll know who he is. And yes, it was a lesson that George helped teach me about redemption. And the Janu people set that up for me to learn as well. And it's not all about anger and punishment. There's other things in life. And I think that if we do go wrong, we have opportunities. So perhaps if George had chosen a different path, his life would have been so successful. I think he was a clever businessman. But he had no idea. Once he'd got involved with these hoods, he had no idea. So there is redemption. Cleaning the slate. Christmas is here. And we've all got that opportunity to do just that, to clean the slate, to start fresh. New year in process. I think this year has been a very difficult year. For me, it has been extremely difficult. And I'm hoping that it's going to improve. I really am. But there's lots of people, I think, who are also feeling this sense of being stuck, of not being able to progress, of being, caught with no rudder, rudderless, caught adrift, but not actually going anywhere. And I think that has been the overbearing sense of the back end of this year. I'm not entirely sure that next year, worldwide, is going to be a good year, unless these countries that insist on battling each other, unless they're going to start seeing some light and taking some moral high ground, they're never ever going to change. Never. And our job is just on a local basis to hold candle up, show some light. That's all it is. That's our job. That's all we have to do. Because the day-to-day running of things is very, very small in the scheme of things. This is just experiencing life. And we have to be present. We actually have to be present in our own lives. And this year has been very, very difficult. Very difficult for a lot of us to do just that. So, I am going to say to each and every one of you, Happy Christmas. I hope you have a wonderful time with your family or your friends, doing whatever it is you enjoy doing. And some of us just like our own company. Some of us like silence. It's quite nice. And there's nothing wrong with that. have a happy Christmas. Lots of love to you all. Just have a good one. Okay. Bye.